It's Light Breakfast with Steve and Shaz in the morning and your relaxing favorites. With us this morning is composer, producer extraordinaire with a multitude of awards under his belt. We're speaking to Aubrey Suwito this morning. Welcome, Aubrey.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Steve. Hi, Shaz.
Hi. Okay, so Aubrey, when you started playing music and your passion for music grew, did you see yourself, becoming an artist as opposed to a composer?
Okay, till today, I still don't think of myself as an artist. I think I'm still a producer who happens to sometimes have his own shows.
Mm-hmm. Now, David Foster once...
Ta-da!
He once said, "Hey, Aubrey, I heard you're the David Foster of Asia." What was that like for you?
I don't know, man. When I heard about it, I was, of course, thrilled, right? Because David Foster is one of my all-time idols, So to get a chance to work with him up close, dream come true, But what I took home two things working with him. One was that as far as we all look up to them, as Malaysians, but I realized that we're not that far off. We do things the same way, not just with David Foster, but with the musicians. One of his musicians is drummer J.R. Robinson, who is the world's most recorded drummer. So he's played like the most songs in the world, right? And the way he does things and the way we do things, not that far different, right? So it gives us a lot of hope. It's not like, they are like on a different planet. The other thing I take back is there are some things that, the little things, the detail, the little lines that, the accuracy, that's something that I look up to because, they're still about 5-10% ahead, right? So for me, I get inspired, but at the same time I get encouraged, to go further and to learn, So it's a learning process.
If you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
Okay.
Ever thought of that?
Yes, because I was actually studying to be an accountant.
Oh, yo.
Yeah, I think I would have failed miserably. My kids tell me I would have failed miserably. But halfway through the accountancy thing, I sort of got discovered, Okay, I was doing A-levels, and I was the band for a talent time, There was an Interact Club talent time. I don't know if we still have Interact now.
Yeah, I think they do, yeah.
We do?
Yeah.
Okay, one of the judges, who's a Malaysian musician, came around and said, "Hey, you can sort of play, not bad. Would you like to come to our studio and just hang around?" So it ended up that I spent almost every evening hanging around at the studio, just picking up stuff, And I think after a year, they offered me a job and it went on from there.
Right, so you quit your A-levels and all that.
No, I finished my A-levels.
Okay.
My parents wouldn't allow me to stop.
Of course not.
Of course not, right? Yeah. I worked about 5 years in the Malaysian music industry. I was the last music director for Sudirman, right? And towards the end of it, I think, towards the end of 5 years, decided maybe I should just try and go, So we went, and it really helped. The 5 years of experience really helps in Berkeley because I had already a very clear direction of what I wanted to study, what I wanted to learn, what classes to go to. So my advice to all budding musicians, if you're going to a college like Berkeley, get some experience first.
How was it like working with Sudirman? That must have been amazing, being musical director for Sudirman.
Wow, that guy was a perfectionist. He comes from a heart perspective. For all his songs, it's always how the audience will feel.
Tell us about your new album, Aubrey Suwito and Friends with MPO.
We had an invite from Dewan Philharmonic Petronas management to say, "Hey, would you like to do a show with the MPO?" Right? And we were like, "Wow, this is a total different league," right? And so I was curious because I asked them, "Is this the yearly slot that is normally reserved for artists?" And they say, "Yeah, this is the one that Datuk Siti has done, M. Nasir has done, normally very big artists." So I was really honored to find out that I was the first non-artist to be featured with the MPO, right? So okay, after I got over the high, right, then came the work, because writing for a full symphonic orchestra is totally different. So I took about 9 to 10 months to prepare all the arrangements, and after all that work, my wife and I decided maybe we should just record it, and see if it turns out well, then we can release, right, like an album as an archive or something like that. And I recall after the show, the next morning we had like a rough recording, right? And we listened to it in our studio. We were going, oh, we just have to release this, because it brought us both like, almost close to tears. The emotion, the whole grandeur of the orchestra, and the singers that we had were Dayang Nufaiza, Faisal Tahir, Sean Ghazi, and Jacqueline Victor. They performed their socks off, so it was like, okay, no brainer, we have to release this.
It's been a pleasure having you here in the studio as well.
Thank you so much
for joining us.
Thank you, Steve. Bye, Shaz.
Thank you.